Okay, very interesting views there. But Honorable Elachi, so finally, with the coming down of a CDF Act from the Supreme Court, and now some of you raising questions on how you're going to assist learners within your constituencies, have you thought of any possibilities, knowing what that kind of financing can do to children of the country, if you're to focus on what it may have done to someone like Senator Manzo?
You see, one of the things, I think what we have done as a country, we also did not create good awareness on after the new act came in, that how have you moved to ensure Mheshimiwa is not so much deep into the whole process. And I think they had removed completely members of parliament from CDF. The only thing maybe you do, you oversee like any other person, who you come in and just monitor what they're doing. But now let us go to the key of CDF, which is bursary. And I'll give you an example. Roughly 15,000 children in Dagoretti North have been supported on this, on bursary.
That is at the moment, currently? At
the moment, currently. And so I'm imagining in 290 constituencies, how many children are we talking about? And therefore, even as much as the Supreme Court spoke about it, what we now need to go back is to take all the children and take them to court, because the education cannot stop because of how we do our decisions. Then they have to give in a ruling that the national government immediately must take charge of every child who is in school per the records and ensure they continue their education. Because there's no way now, in the moment, we are about to close school and parents are about to come again and say there are kids who are very, very vulnerable, orphans and all that. Those ones that are taken from Form 1 to Form 4. There are kids where you support in. And so I'm wondering, that child of Dagoretti North, of Kibera, of Mathare, of the rural, where the family maybe she or he is with a guardian, needs to go to school, what is going to happen? So I think the best thing we can do is to prepare a good case for the children and take it to court and say, we want, this is the data, as per each constituency. The Supreme Court or whatever court must speak about it where these children are headed. Because, and that is why sometimes, and I'm hoping in future, because we've had fights that sometimes when we look at the law, some of these things you can sit down and just first negotiate and say the good, the bad, what is not needed. Most of the money of CDF also went in building classrooms, went in supporting the police, because when you look at now the police and the national government does not even remember that it's supposed to also protect their own police, ensure they have good officers, ensure they have, even while people are grabbing their land. Those are the things now that CDF has been doing. And then when you look at the environment and you look at sports. So when you come and just the judiciary just says one word and everything goes down without looking at how now the steps of everything you have done, there's an effect. How do we deal with that effect? And in your ruling, you don't even give. Because I wish when they were saying it's unconstitutional, then you needed to have just give one word on how the transition from this goes back to the national government.
Okay. And for you, Dan Manzo, because you're just the immediate former member of parliament for Makueni, by the time the judgment came on 8th of August, just a day before the election, had the committee there, the fund committee, had it facilitated or processed applications for the new financial year, which just started on the 1st of July?
No, because you see the year was just over. The financial year ended in June and is usually implemented in September. So now I doubt with this judgment, which clearly says that separation of powers, talking about separation of powers, the role of parliament, and it clearly states unless you amend the constitution. There was an effort to amend the constitution in regard to CDF in BBI, which unfortunately was rejected by the same courts. So with separation of powers, many people never understood the 2013 Act, the CDF Act, and the national government, CDF. What happens is, what is likely, the effect of this government is what you call mutandis mutandis. What applied in the CDF Act happens to the NG CDF by principle. And you will find that Treasury may be unable now to allocate money to CDF. What the new president should do is give an executive order which in a way doesn't contradict the Supreme Court position, but implements the same duties. The MP used to do oversight, and personally, never got involved in CDF because it's structured from grassroots, so that if you are building a classroom at the village, the villagers are involved. Not even a shilling can get lost because everybody is watching, and it is at the most basic at the village. And then it will really help, there are committees there which will look at the most needy child. They'll look for the child who is a total orphan, then one with one parent, another one where the two parents are alive, but they are not able to pay. So for where the system was well checked by the villagers, it was next to impossible, first of all, to bring somebody else from elsewhere to benefit from the bursary. Right. And you will not give a privileged child that bursary because everybody is watching. So it was so transparent, and it had been removed now from the traditional DC when the district commissioner oversighted, things. The member of parliament will oversight this. Yes. And if there are complaints, they will come to the member of parliament, and the member of parliament will immediately exercise the oversight role, help sort out the matter. Because you see, there is a government officer employed at every constituency to manage that and to be responsible. The member of parliament never signed a check or never signed anything, and he's actually not responsible. But make sure you oversight and make sure the right thing is done. And if there are complaints, they are processed through that particular office. So I think the Supreme Court missed a lot of things in that particular regard. And I understand the activists also have gone back to court now to ensure that CDF is dead completely. So I think an executive order will now suffice, an urgent.
But even as you call for an executive order, is there anything that Parliament can do in the circumstances to ensure that the noble work this fund has been doing continues even without the oversight role? I mean, whatever Supreme Court found off with the members of Parliament involvement.
Parliament can only enact law which is within the Constitution. The Supreme Court has said there is a little bit of unconstitutionality with this particular act, even after it was improved by Parliament. All that the Supreme Court wants is a member of Parliament not to be involved at all. Therefore,
yes, but you can be involved in remaking the law.
They can remake the law, but that law, but unless now you amend the Constitution, there is no way you will go back to where we used to be. Unless you amend the Constitution and...
Which is fine. What I'm asking Honorable Elachi is because there are those 15,000 learners in Dagoretti North.
Yes.
You're now in Parliament as a member of the National Assembly representing Dagoretti North. Is there something that you can do to ensure that they continue to benefit even without the involvement of the member of Parliament or the money being channeled through the constituency offices or whatever the Supreme Court had a problem with?
You see,
maybe before she goes, because of the history, when the first CDF died, everything was done through the Minister of Education. So I believe the Minister of Education now can still do something. But you saw what happened when Professor Magoha tried to implement the classrooms for the new education. He was personally running around all over the country, doing what the Member of Parliament used to do with the CDF. So I think you can channel, budgets can be allocated by Parliament through the Minister of Education. How now they follow to make sure that the bursary is paid and the classroom is built is where the problem is.
Yes, Honorable Elachi.
You see, I think that's what I was saying. It was unfortunate that that awareness after amending the Act was never done for people to understand that now CDF is not a matter of about Mheshimiwa. CDF is a matter of your constituency. Citizens of that constituency sitting down and looking at their own small development that they can look at. And especially now, they had clear pillars. You have education, you have security, you have environment, you have sports. And I think that is where it really worked within every constituency. So for me, what I would say is that now we are in this situation, and I want to repeat, each member of parliament to take data of their constituencies. Then you put together all these students and you say, total of students in Kenya are this. And there will be maybe around 300,000 to 400,000 children who will be under this program. And then you ask the court, can the national government take over as per this data? And so my work is to monitor and see this child, did she ever go back to school, or the country and the national government decided this child will not go to school, which is going to be very cumbersome. So we go back now to ask ourselves, how can we go back as much as we can go to a lower court and see how to repeal a few of those things based on the rights of the children. You can't take it now back to whatever they say. Based on the rights of the children, go to a lower court and say, these children are about to lose their life because of 1, 2, 3 that was done in court. And maybe senior can advise whether that is right or wrong.
I'm just imagining that you actually have more power than pushing it to the court because you're the lawmaker now.
I have power, yes. But I think the best is to read what the Supreme Court said so that you look at it, or change the whole act and come up with an act or fund of education which brings in education but also brings in an environment that is conducive to that education. Where you bring back now the issue of classrooms and because if you just leave it to the national government, I don't think we are gonna kill now completely. First of all, the education system that we have, the children that we have, because even teachers, and Senator will tell you, would have at least time to sit down with the area MP and you will focus on how to work together to improve grades, to improve how things move. But
what is happening now is a lot of outcry. Many children have not gone back to university, to school. So what I'm doing when they get in touch with me is, first of all, to introduce them to their new member of parliament and say that let's organize an Harambee. In fact, we are having an Harambee almost every other day. We are gone back to where we used to be a long time ago, where people used to conduct Harambees for children to go to school.
It's not right.
We are conducting so many of them and tying up the newly elected member of parliament into that process, of which you really can't have enough money for everybody as an individual. That cannot be a state affair. So we are back to the Harambees.
Honorable Manzo, it's very interesting, and I just want to read paragraph 83 of the judgment. It is clear from the above provision that the Constitution does not grant the National Assembly the power to implement projects as a service delivery unit at the county level. Members of the National Assembly are granted the mandate to legislate and oversight the national revenue and its expenditure. There's something you just said that got me thinking, because you're telling me that there are parents and children that are coming to you in need of help. You're referring them to the member of the National Assembly. Then it means actually the member of the National Assembly has serious impact on the CDF.
Yes.
You just told me that it's just oversight, you have no direct relation.
What happens is very effective in oversighting to make sure that it is implemented.
But they're coming to you to ask for help and you're referring them to the CDF. So it means there's actually a line connecting you to the fund.
No.
I'm only introducing them to the new member of parliament so that we conduct an Harambee. That I don't do now. Harambee is for 6 constituencies in Makueni County.
Okay.
Alone.
All right, I hear you.
But you see, Sam,
yes.
Even now, whether you have CDF or no CDF, people will still come to you.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have anything to underline with CDF. Whether you have CDF or no CDF, I mean, we have taken children to school, we are still taking. We have no CDF at that time. We have done where you go to friends. But do we want to take our country back there? I think why we were empowering this is to make sure you look for a solution better.
Okay.
Than, we are now going back to this culture where we'll be saying, Mheshimiwa is there, Alpha and Omega, will do everything. No.
All right. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about the Kenyatta-Ruto transition proper. We know the swearing in is supposed to happen tomorrow. Today is the final full day for President Kenyatta to be president of Kenya. After the break.